Hi, boys and girls. Welcome back to English class. We're not at school, but we have to continue online. I hope everyone is doing okay. I'm here at home with my tea and working from home so that everyone can learn some more. We're going to be seeing a new topic this week. Last week we saw past continuous, and it seems that everyone understood it okay because no one asked me any questions, and from your homework I could see that you were doing pretty well with it. So this week we're going to see the past continuous and the past simple. They're not new topics because you've seen the past continuous last week and you have seen the past simple before. But now we're going to see them together, not separately. So let's start with the presentation. Let me get my face out of the way so it doesn't bother anyone. Okay, so let's get this in full screen. There we go. Okay, so the past continuous and the past simple. Like I said, you saw the past continuous last week. Now, let's review a little bit of it just to make sure that you understood well. The past continuous, when do we use the past continuous? We use the past continuous to talk about a continuous action or an action in progress in the past. Una acción en proceso o que tiene una duración en el pasado. For example, we were cleaning the house all morning. Okay, why do we use the past continuous there? Why do we say we were cleaning? That's right, because it is an action that was in progress and had a duration. No es una acción que empezó y terminó ahí nomás. Tenía un proceso, una duración. Now, do you remember how we form the past continuous? Think. In the affirmative, we start with the subject. Remember, in English, we always have a subject, then was or were, and the verb in ing. For example, we were playing football yesterday afternoon. Okay, you can see that it took a while to play football. And in the negative, again, starting with the subject as always, then wasn't and weren't, and verb ing. For example, he wasn't having a good time at the party. And then the questions. Remember, there are two types of questions, content questions and yes/no questions. Content questions start with a WH word, like who, what, where, etc. And then was or were, and the verb ing. Este tipo de preguntas están buscando más información. Son esas preguntas que empiezan con quién, cuándo, qué, etc. For example, what were you doing yesterday afternoon? And then you have yes/no questions where the answer is going to be yes or no. And they start directly with was or were plus verb ing. Esas son preguntas que la respuesta va a ser sí o no. Empiezan directamente con was or were. For example, was he having a good time at the party? The answer would be yes or no. Now, the past simple, you have seen the past simple before. We have reviewed it a few weeks ago. When do we use the past simple? We use it to talk about actions that started and ended in the past. Una acción que empezó y terminó en el pasado. For example, I did my homework on the computer. Okay? You can see that that's an action that started and finished in the past. The action was done and completed in the past. Now, do you remember how to form the past simple? Well, in the affirmative, like I said before, we start with the subject. And if it's a regular verb, it's the verb with ed. And if it's an irregular verb, you're going to look at the second column with your irregular verbs list, which you should know by now. For example, I watched TV last night. Okay, watch is a regular verb, so you just add ed. And I went to the supermarket yesterday. Went is the past form of which verb? That's right, go. And in the negative, we start with the subject like always, then didn't, and then the verb in infinitive. Okay? Acá no le vamos a poner ed al verbo en el negativo, porque tenemos el didn't. For example, I didn't send my teacher my homework, which is true for many of you. Many of you did not send me your homework last week. And again, with the questions, if it's a WH question, you start with WH word, for example, who, what, where, then did, and then the subject, and then the verb. For example, what did you watch on TV? And if it's a yes-no question, you start directly with did plus the subject, and then the verb. For example, did you watch cartoons? What have you been watching on TV during this time you're not in school? Okay, so here's a question for you. Do you think we can use the past continuous and the past simple in the same sentence? Do you think it's possible? Yes, it is. We can use both the past continuous and the past simple in the same sentence. For example, I was doing my homework when the phone rang. Okay, we can see that doing your homework had a duration. It was a process. And then the phone rang. The action started and stopped at that moment. So let's see both of these together. The past continuous and the past simple. How can you tell when we use one and when we use the other? Okay. When we use these two tenses together, it shows us that the past simple action happened in the middle of the past continuous action while it was in progress. Cuando usamos estos dos juntos, estos dos tiempos juntos, muestra que el que estaba en el pasado simple pasó en el medio del proceso de la acción que está en pasado continuo. ¿Sí? Como que lo interrumpe. For example, while I was studying, so we have the process of studying, I felt sleepy. This action interrupted. ¿Sí? Esta acción interrumpió a la otra acción. Okay? We often use these tenses to show one action interrupting another. Okay? El pasado simple lo usamos para mostrar que interrumpe la acción del otro. For example, I broke my leg when I was skiing. Okay? You were skiing and breaking your leg interrupted the action. Or when I was going to work, I saw an old friend. Okay, so you were walking down the sidewalk and you saw a friend. This action interrupted the other. So let's see if you can see the two differences in meaning in these sentences. We have, when the guests arrived, Jane was cooking dinner. So when the guests arrived, Jane was cooking dinner. And when the guests arrived, Jane cooked dinner. What's the difference between these two sentences? ¿Cuál es la diferencia entre estas dos oraciones? Think. Put in pause for a second and just think. In the first one, in this one, Jane started cooking before the guests arrived. We know that because it uses the past continuous. Okay? We know that Jane was cooking, ella estaba cocinando, que ella empezó esta acción y después en el medio llegaron las visitas. And in the second sentence, the guests arrived first and then Jane started cooking. Okay, we have arrived and cooked, two past simple. So we know that first the guests arrived and then Jane cooked. Primero llegaron y después empezó a cocinar. And we have a word that we can use when we use these two tenses. When. When do we use when? We can use when at the beginning of a past simple clause or a past continuous clause. Entonces, al principio de una de las cláusulas del pasado simple o pasado continuo, podemos usar la palabra when. For example, they were searching for food when they discovered some new plants. This when introduces the new clause. It introduce la nueva cláusula. And when he was filming James Bond, he broke his leg. Again, introducing the clause. So, here you have some practice. All you have to do is complete the sentences either with the past continuous or the past simple. Okay? You have the verbs, and you have to decide if these verbs that are in brackets go either in the past simple or the past continuous. Okay? In the next slide, you have the answers, but I'm going to pass quickly through it. That wasn't fast enough. So, boys and girls, I know this is difficult, and it's a new way of learning. Okay? Sé que es difícil, es una forma nueva de aprender eso de estar online. But you can do it. Okay? And if you have any questions or anything you need to tell me, you can contact me anytime. Okay? You have my email address. There's my email address. And you have my phone number if you need to send me a WhatsApp. Okay? Anything you need. So, I hope to see you again very soon because, well, I miss y'all. And I hope everyone is doing well. See you again soon.